Hey, buddy, watch this.
Hello, hello, Regis Gilbin is the name, and Hearthstone is the game, and this is a deck spotlight on a deck I'm calling the Mortal Zoo Warlock, and it's by Firebat. Now, you probably know Firebat. He's the once world champion of Hearthstone, an incredibly popular and incredibly gifted Hearthstone talent, and this is his latest take on the Zoo Warlock, which, of course, it's a very common deck archetype that's really been around Hearthstone virtually forever. This deck looks mostly familiar, but there are a few interesting changes which I think have earned it a right to get its own spotlight. So primarily these changes are just in the format of a few different cards that he swapped in, essentially tech answers to the meta, so cards he's teched in to deal with certain things that he finds in the metagame and helps him essentially beat those tools that are otherwise very good at defeating Zoo. So very specifically what I mean by that are cards like Crazed Alchemist, which is great against Doomsayer, because Doomsayer can be sometimes challenging on like turn 3 or 4 if you don't happen to have a couple Abusive Sergeants or Power Overwhelming to get through it. Crazed Alchemist allows you to flip the stats on that Doomsayer, turning it into a 7-0, which instantly kills it. There's also the card Acidic Swamp Ooze, which can help shut down early game warrior weapons, because like Tempo Warriors with Fire War Axe can absolutely ruin your board early and allow them to swarm to an advantage that you can't recover from. And the Acidic Swamp Ooze denies that. It's also good against stuff like Aggro Shaman with their Doomhammers or Paladin as well. And then there's a Mortal Coil, and Mortal Coil is just a nice little way to slot in an extra mana to refill your hand. There are a number of 1-drops in this deck, and sometimes with Zoo, with all these 1-drops, even life tapping will just give you 2 1-drops, and that's not that great, and there's a lot of stuff with 1 health out there right now. So Mortal Coil is just one extra little way to refill your hand while still contributing to the early game board control mentality that Zoo likes to take on. Finally, the other unusual piece of this deck, I think, is that it actually runs a Doomguard. Doomguard used to be incredibly popular in Zoo, but has since kind of swapped out for Leroy Jenkins. Leroy Jenkins does a little extra damage. It's less punishing as far as destroying your hand, and it's just slightly better at winning games quickly, which is what the meta really supports right now, than is Doomguard. And there were so many other good early game cards that it was hard to fit Doomguard in. You could add in the Darkshire Councilmans, add in the Forbidden Rituals. All these other cards are so good that you don't really want to lose them, so Doomguard's typically got cut, but apparently Firebat thinks it deserves at least 1 spot on the list. So you kind of have a double charge finisher options here, but Doomguard is also just great at still controlling the board, attacking into a 4 or 5 health thing, and sticking around as maybe a 5-3 or a 5-4, so it's got some extra utility there. All that said, this is still a Zoo deck, right? You're trying to get out onto the board early. You're trying to leverage your sticky minions to trade up efficiently into your opponent's board so that you have a nice firm hold on the board by turns 3 and 4. And then you finally leverage the pressure that you've advantaged to push into the enemy face very aggressively for lots of damage, finishing them off with big damage from stuff like Direwolf Alpha, Leroy, Defender of Argus, even big buff Darkshire Councilmans, or the Power Overwhelmings and Abusive Sergeants as well. So this is the list of the Mortal Zoo by Firebat. Now that we've talked about it and addressed some of the unusual cards in the list, I think it would just be most helpful to go ahead and take this list out onto the ranked ladder to see it in action. So that's exactly what we're going to do. That's not the right one. It's the Mortal Zoo by Firebat. So Zoo is still quite popular in the meta right now, as it has been virtually forever. I don't see it ever going away. Warlock's hero power is just too well suited to decks of this style, because you can play cheap stuff without really compromising your hand too much. So we'll see how this one fares in the current meta state. It has some nice answers and some cool little things it does, so I'm excited to see it in action compared to what would be considered a more standard Zoo list, although this one is certainly only a few cards removed from that. A few tech cards to answer the meta can make all the difference in winning or losing. Alright, so this hand is actually pretty awkward. Forbidden Rituals are better a little later. Darkshot Councilman is a great turn 3 play, but I want to make absolutely sure we get out onto the board early. This is likely an aggro shaman, so getting a 1 and 2 drop out can make a big difference trading into stuff like those Tunnel Trogs, and I don't want to wait too long. So, in fact, I think we're going to coin out the Dark Peddler here. It will give us a 1-drop. We've also got the Abusive Sergeant and the Mortal Coil to answer stuff. Oh man, Hungry Crab is good against Sir Finley Murgleton, which they typically run, but he already played the Sir Finley, so I doubt that's actually going to come out. I'm going to take the Mortal Coil here, surprisingly. The Flame Imp is a solid play as well, but I'm not super pumped about doing 3 damage to my face right away. On turn 2, I have options like Immortal Coil, Abusive Sergeant, so I can answer either a Tunnel Trog or a Totem Golem. But I won't be able to build the board if I do that very well. I guess I can with the Abusive Sergeant. Yeah, we'll go ahead and take the second Mortal Coil. This might seem unusual, but this is the Mortal Zoo, named after specifically that Mortal Coil inclusion, so it doesn't feel too bad. Another 1-drop's a great answer, because we can trade here and still develop the board nicely. So that's why I wanted to coin out a minion to set up this trade. If I played the Abusive Sergeant on its own, then I wouldn't have been able to trade up. So coining out the Dark Peddler made a huge difference there. I guess it could have double Mortal Coiled or something like that. Oh, yeah, see, he's already realized. That might seem crazy, right? Turn 3 concede, but he's an aggro shaman and he has yet to do anything. And we've already got a firm stance on the board with cards in hand, so he knew that the game was already over. Once you get that early settled, like once you settle the board early at Zoo, it's very difficult for most decks to recover. If they have big AoE, it's certainly possible. But Shaman, he was an aggro shaman. It looked like he probably wasn't running the Lightning Storms or Elemental Destructions. At the very least, didn't have them in his hand, so he knew we were just going to swarm out of control quite quickly. I'm going to keep the Possessed Villager, but send these back. It might seem like I have a solid curve, but the Knife Juggler is not always the best turn 2 play. And the Darkshot Councilman, although good on 3, I want stuff, again, that can trade up and that can help me establish the board and build a more consistent and early game option. So here, this is a tough debate, right? About which one of these is better. I don't know that there's an answer specifically against Hunter. He will probably play a Fiery Bat. In both instances, these are kind of the same against the Fiery Bat. They're really the same minion in many ways, unless you have Death Rattle synergies. Yeah, so see, it wouldn't really matter here. We'll have to trade, and there's a chance the ping would have killed the Argent Squire, and the ping can also kill the Possessed Villager. We'll play everything, so it's more likely that one of the minions survives. If it lands that way, for instance, that'd be pretty unfortunate, so that's fine. We lost the Divine Shield, but we saved a 1-1. I think ideally we would have liked to hit our face or the Voidwalker. Again, face or Voidwalker would be ideal, but we didn't get it. I could have liked Power Overwhelming to kill that, but it doesn't really accomplish much because, as far as we know, he can't trade very well here. He doesn't have a beast, so this is likely not going to get kill command. The real problem is that we have 2 damage cards and no minions. I want minions to play on the other side of this. So even like a Forbidden Ritual would be a pretty solid draw. Don't know what trap that is. He's doing a lot of stuff. This will tell us a little about his deck. So it looks like standard mid-range Death Rattle type stuff. So we know he has the Hoo-Huron, but that's not coming yet. He can trade here, but I don't know. This is a good draw. We have to test this trap. It's could be Freezing Trap. Could be Snipe. A lot of people are running Snipe now. If it's Snipe, this is going to hurt a little bit, but not that much because it'll at least summon another 1-1. Not Snipe. So now we need to test for Freezing. The question is, we do want to kill his stuff, but we don't want to attack with the Darkshire first, which would go here. So I think I'm actually just going to attack face. If it's Explosive Trap, then yeah, alright, then this is going to get buffed even more because we're summoning dudes. And now I have some awkward trade decisions to make. Gosh, it's almost worth power overwhelming into the King's Elic so that this has a greater likelihood to survive, right? I guess we'll do this. This is not great. The Explosive Trap's a perfect answer to Zoo, right? It kills all our stuff. That's bad because that lets him kill my Darkshire Councilman. It's not particularly efficient for him, but still, it's a little annoying. We can trade here. This is probably just worth a Doomguard. We're giving up 2 things, but we're getting a huge minion and the board. So he can hoo-hoo on, but he doesn't have anything on board. We've got a solid board and, of course, card draw coming. So Tundra Rhino is actually pretty good against that. King Boss is a good draw. We'll tap first just to see what happens. Oh, this is a tough decision. I think we'll go ahead and play it. We'll play around Explosive Shot just in case, right? We got to kill that thing. It's way too scary. You know, he could get a charging Savannah Highmane or something and ruin our day. So Explosive Shot here is not that great, right? He can choose a 5 health target and kill an imp, but both of the other ones are actually protected. A taunt here would be pretty good, but we might end up just going face. We have 5 mana worth of cards, so we'll tap first since we're at 7 mana just to see what we get. And we'll play this stuff out. We have to think about this a little bit. I played this to the far left because the imps will spawn on the right, and I'm going to play the Direwolf Alpha somewhere else. So it's more likely the imps will eventually make it to the Direwolf Alpha. I could actually just clear this thing, which I could also go face, right? I have 7, 8, plus 3, because as soon as I play this, it'll buff this and give me +2. So that's 11 damage. I could put him at 8, but I'm scared of stuff like Houndmaster, so I'm actually going to go ahead and kill that. It might not seem fantastic, but we have a way to clear it, and we shall. The Direwolf positioning ended up being a little sad because I had to get that that imp buffed. But still the right positioning on our Imp King boss. This is better? This is better? Yeah, that's fine. That does not spawn you an imp when it happens, so... Oh my goodness. I can spawn 7 dudes. But I can only actually spawn 5 dudes, right? Because there's only 5 spots on the board. So I'm going to life tap first. And in fact, play this first. And then play this. So Unleash the Hound sucks here. Explosive Trap sucks here. But we just did a lot of damage. And he can trade this way. But I wasn't going to do it for him, right? Because he's got to find an answer for me. Not the other way around. Fested Wolf is not great. That could be great. I kind of have to test for I have to play around explosive here essentially by trading this way. Does this give me lethal in any way? Can I guarantee that explosive traps go off? No. So we'll test this. It's freezing, so that's just that's probably just game, right? We have 3 plus 3 is 6 plus 2 is 8. We actually don't have lethal. We'll tap for lethal. This is a 50-50 for lethal. I want to put this over here to safety. If it hits face, it's lethal. Did not hit face. I'm still going to go face. There's a chance he plays like a taunt, right? But we have a Knife Juggler. We have 2 taunts. We have a lot of dudes on board. This will spawn us minions, theoretically, if the board wasn't full. It's a very good chance we get lethal here, almost no matter what he does. We could have traded and, you know, actually done it relatively efficiently and still hit some damage to face. But at this point, we've kind of turned the corner and I don't think that'll save him. We've got like 1,000 ways to do damage here. So, well played. Alright. So, pretty typical zoo shenanigans here so far. Nothing too crazy from the tech answers like the Crazed Alchemist. We had the Acidic Swampoos, but he never played a weapon, so it was unnecessary. I will say, though, the Doom Guard there was incredibly valuable, right? We were able to play it just as a 5/7 with charge, so it did 5 damage. It traded into, I forget what it was, but some sort of, the Tundra Rhino. So it killed a 5-drop, it did 5 face damage, and it killed the first half of the Savannah Highmane Forest. So we got ridiculous value out of our Doom Guards. So maybe perhaps Doom Guards have been overlooked a little bit, and they deserve more love than they're getting these days. Maybe Firebat has it right. Leroy would not have been a good answer there, right? Because we would have had to summon two Dragon Whelps for him, and wouldn't have traded into the Tundra Rhino well, would have killed itself. So Doomguard was a vastly superior play. We'll go ahead and keep this. We can play the Abusive Sergeant on 1 and use the Direwolf to trade up to a Tunnel Trog. Or we can play the Abusive Sergeant on 1 and use the other Abusive Sergeant to trade up into a Totem Golem. Nothing really feels good here. Probably just going to play the Naked Abusive Sergeant here. And if he trades, he trades. If he doesn't, he doesn't. We'll have to wait and see. It's not ideal, but... So he is going to trade. This is kind of tough to deal with already. We'll play the Peddler. It's better than anything else right now. The Imp Gang boss is okay, actually. I could coin out an Imp Gang boss and then follow it up with something like a Abusive Sergeant Knife Juggler. This stuff doesn't trade that well into the Imp Gang boss. He could buff the Tunnel Trog, certainly, to trade well, but it will likely leave me a 1-1, and I don't think he'll want to send the Totem Golem into the 1-1, which means I can play like Direwolf Alpha Abusive Sergeant to trade back up. As long as that's not a Taunt Totem. It's not. He's going to just go face. It's also fine. Alright, so now I have some decisions to make, right? I can actually kill the Totem Golem, but I think I want to kill the Tunnel Trog. It's getting healed, so there's some additional value there from healing Totem. I'll summon a guy, so I can actually Knife Juggler first if I want. The Knife Juggler is a pretty high priority target. Is it going to get enough value with 2 pings? I'll waste the Abusive Sergeant if I do that as well. I think alternatively I'll just play the Dark Peddler. Playing it to the right. Soulfire is actually pretty good here. I can just kill that Totem Golem. I'm going to lose a minion, obviously, or something. I hope it's maybe the Power Overwhelming or the Abusive Sergeant. But anything is really fine. That's fine. That gives us such a good board position that unless he has Lightning Storm, we're in a good spot. Not even sure I'd mind the Lightning Storm this early. We don't know for sure if he's super aggro shaman or if he's more of a mid-rangey. Now I kind of wish I had that Power Overwhelming back. Ugh. Oh. Right on command. So we can give this +4/+4 and then actually +2. So that's 2 mana. So we can also play the Knife Juggler first, I guess. Doesn't really matter which one, I don't think, but we have 4 mana to spend. This will be wasted if it hits anything but face, but I don't think there's another way to do it, so we're just taking a chance that it... actually, there is one better way to do it. We can do this trade first, and then we have a 50-50 instead of a 33% to hit face. See, that one was a little wasted. We were going to hit him anyway, but that was the right way to do it. He saw the Power Overwhelming go out, so he thought, oh, Flame Wreath Faceless is good to go. But thankfully, we top-decked the other one. That was quite fortunate for us. Alright, so we're going to tap first. We're very likely going to play the Direwolf Alpha, but it doesn't hurt to see what we get. I don't actually have a great way to do this, unfortunately. Probably should have played the Abusive Sergeant somewhere over here. It's really hard to tell, though. But I'm very likely to get a knife hit, aren't I? This is risky, but I have a very good chance to land a knife correctly. So I'm going to play it in the middle. Yeah, so I did hit the knife correctly. So we'll go this way. And then actually go this way. We'll get a new knife, and our imp will spawn next to the direwolf where we want it. Again, we're in a great spot to everything except Lightning Storm. Charged Hammer is not that good. It's very slow, and he takes... Oh, no. This is brutal. So we're going to tap first despite our excitement, since we're likely going to play these 4-mana cards. Knife Juggler is good enough to play. I don't know that it matters particularly where this goes. So he gets a hero power out of the deal, but we really ruined his weapon. And we're doing a lot of damage. Oh my goodness, that is frightening. So we have a good 7 mana actually. This might just be lethal if we do it correctly. We'll play this to see what we get first. Alternatively, if we play Leroy first, the knives can do some work. I think we're probably going to use Leroy to run into the Earth Elemental. In other words, if I play Leroy first, when I play the Dark Peddler, the Knife Juggler will shoot a knife and it may hit something relevant, right? Yeah, let's just go ahead and do it this way. I don't think there's any 1-mana card that really changes the outcome here. I could get a Power Overwhelming, right, that maybe I would have used to clear this. But it's certainly not... Ooh, I wish I could play this Reliquary Seeker. Man. I'm still going to grab it. So it did work out nicely there. We'll trade this way, and this way, and this way. And then we'll just go face. He's down to 6, so we have lethal represented on board. Another one of these guys, really? We'll life tap first. We can actually clear it with... Ooh, is this just better? How many of these? I'm going to spawn 4 of these. I unfortunately can't Reliquary Seeker into the Forbidden Ritual. I could also just play these guys. That's a lot of knives. That's pretty good, actually. So it's very hard to guess where the Defender Vargas should go here, because I don't know how many knives are going to hit, but we'll see. Also, the Reliquary Seeker is not going to get buffed, but that's okay. Okay, so it's done 7, so this is 5. Unfortunately, I have to buff the Knife Juggler at least one way or another. But we'll just play it here and see what happens. 6. So we can save the Knife Juggler. And we're 2 damage off lethal with a pretty solid board. I think we're in a good spot. He can't even hero power the Knife Juggler. Got 1 Death Rattle minion. Yeah, he's just going to ping face. Alright, alright. Pretty interesting decisions. Zoo is sometimes called like a mindless or simple deck, but it's not at all. There's a lot of ordering techniques. There's a lot, both, nice. A lot of, that looks like it's coming out of my face, I bet. A lot of minion ordering techniques and a lot of play ordering techniques, right? Just making sure you maximize your chances for the knives to hit the right stuff. Maximizing minion buffs. For instance, it probably would have been better to have the Knife Juggler to the outside in that previous set, just so I could use the Defender Vargas on the middle minions. So it's really hard sometimes to have the foresight to play that stuff correctly. But it makes a huge difference when you do. You know, it's the difference between killing a minion or not. And sometimes killing a minion or not is the difference between winning the game or not. So again, the Knife Juggler, although a 2-drop, is not really the one I want to see on 2. I want stuff that helps me trade and do shenanigans with the board. So I want 1-drops and buffing stuff, and I'm going to play the Flame Imp first because it's better against Tunnel Trog than is Ardent Squire. So this might discourage the Tunnel Trog free trade. If he has something like Tunnel Trog, Coin, Lightning Bolt, it's pretty good. That's also pretty good. We'll just play on curve here. We've got the 3-drop next turn. This is kind of tough, right? It's unlike that previous game where I was able to use the Soulfire instantly. I don't have the mana for that. So he's probably going to trade into my Flame Imp. I'm kind of thinking the tournament attendee taunt is the best option here, just because it denies good trades, and I have a Darkshire Councilman that I want to protect. Soulfire still looks quite tempting, but he's not going to have any mana next turn, right? Or at least hardly any mana next turn. We'll go face, make him trade. I don't know what he can do. He's already coined. He has 1 mana. He probably just passes here. Trade pass. He did have the Tunnel Trog, which is kind of annoying. We'll Imp Gang Boss and trade. Alternatively, we could Darkshire Councilman and trade. What's the likelihood he can kill our Darkshire Councilman? The risk is that, right, it's not going to be buffed. It's just going to have 1 attack. So if he has like Lightning Bolt, he can just trade into it for free. So I think the Imp Gang Boss is a little better for now. The Imp Gang Boss is also nice in that you can actively summon minions off of it. So you can play it first and then play your Councilman and still summon stuff, because the imps that spawn, of course, trigger Darkshire Councilman. So getting this out first is not like many minions that you have to play after Darkshire Councilman. It's one of the few minions you can play before Darkshire Councilman and still be relevant. You should go face here. Oh, that's so intriguing to me. He basically just gave me a kill and allowed my Imp Gang Boss to attack twice in the same turn, which is pretty chill. So I'll go ahead and actually play the Councilman here, probably alongside the Voidwalker. The Voidwalker is slightly better because it forces the Tunnel Trog to trade into it as opposed to the Spirit Wolf. Of course, there's likelihood he gets Rockbitered or some other mechanic that Zoo or Shaman has to kill it. But if it works out that the minions have to trade, it means the Spirit Wolf would have to trade into the Darkshire, and it has less attack, so it's a higher likelihood the Darkshire survives. And the 3 attack of the Darkshire can kill it, where the 1 attack of the Voidwalker cannot kill it. So the Voidwalker is better than the tournament attendee here, because that allows the 3/1 Tunnel Trog potentially to trade up into the Darkshire Councilman if it gets buffed. So if he has like an Ancestral Knowledge or whatever, it doesn't help, because the Tunnel Trog still has to run through this. So he does have the Rockbiter. He can trade both dudes into my Councilman, but that's really not that bad. Killing 2 dudes. He actually did that probably the right way, but he's gonna get punished for it because of the Crazed Alchemist. So I have to think about this, right? Do I want the Darkshire Councilman to have a lot of health or a lot of attack? And I think I want it to have a lot of health, right? So in other words, if I play Tournament Attendee and Argent Squire first, then it will go to a 5-2, and I can swap it into a 2-5. So when I trade, it'll still be a 2-3. So it has a higher likelihood to live. If I swap it now, it'll just go to 1 health, and that won't help me any. So I'm going to play these guys first. And then we'll play the Alchemist. And we'll make this trade. We could Forbidden Ritual, but I don't really think it helps right now. We'll wait. Might use it like next turn for full mana. So we have a Taunt, which is nice. It denies another Rockbiter. He could still Lightning Bolt or something. Doomhammer actually won't kill this right now, though. So we made the right decision for sure. This thing could be huge this turn. I can summon 5 dudes, right? Alternatively, I can summon an Imp Gang Boss and 3 dudes, which I think is equally good. It puts 1 less attack on the Councilman, but I get a much better minion out in the process, right? So, I mean, we're in a good spot. If he has to somehow trade into that, it's literally game over, because it does 14 damage twice. If he doesn't have like the Lightning Bolt or something, this thing will just kill him. Leaving it alive was very risky. He made the smart trade when he traded into the non-Councilman with his wolf. I think it was the technically correct play, but the Crazed Alchemist really bought us out of that. Oh, that's going to be game. He can't survive this, right? We have 9, 10, 13. Yeah, he's just dead. Oh, we have 9 plus 3 is 12. Yeah, that'll do it. Just for giggles. We probably shouldn't have BM'd a little bit there, but this is going to be the last game, so I wanted to show off a little bit. Oh, nice! We win streaked right up to 5 as well, so we carried a couple extra stars there than you normally get. That's the best way to do it. When you're at max at 6 and you win streak into 5, you basically get a bonus star. You carry your win streak past where it's supposed to go, so it's always nice. A little behind on laddering this season, so it's good to win some games on video. Usually we play goofy stuff and lose games, but anyway, that'll wrap it up for the Mortal Zoo. Frankly, it's a really fantastic deck. Zoo is a fantastic deck, and I really like this version of it. We got tons of value out of all the tech answers that Firebat has included in this list. Particularly the Crazed Alchemist essentially won us that last game. Acidic Swamp Ooze did work. Mortal Coil we didn't see in action too much, but it was just fine, and the Doomguard did work too. So this is a really fantastic list. I may in fact end up playing this some more and try to sneak back into Legend before the season's over, perhaps even using this deck. So hope you try it out. It's not even that expensive. There's really only one Legendary and some rares, but I don't even know if there are any epic cards in the set. So a very affordable list to play and an incredibly strong one as well. Thanks so much for watching the Mortal Zoo Warlock by Firebat, and until next time, game on.